Okay, so we have 3/4, 3/8, 1/2, and 1/4. Okay, so just like comparing, all right, we still have to get common denominators, all right? So we have to look for a number that's going to work for all 4 of these. So basically, you're looking for the least common multiple, right? So that's the goal there. You're trying to find the least common multiple. So what is going to be the greatest or the common factor for all 4 of these? Kylie? 8. So every one of these will go into 8. So the good thing is I don't even have to change this. So like I was saying the other day when I was changing the fractions to compare them, I'm going to write this right underneath. Because when you order these from least to greatest, you have to use the original numbers, not the ones you change them to. So that's why I like to write them twice. That way I know. All right, so we're not even going to mess with that one. This one we have to change. So like I was saying, we have to get 8 on the bottom for all of them. All right, so how do we get from 4 to 8?
Multiply 4 by 2.
Multiply 4 by 2. Okay, so then whatever you do at the bottom, you got to do the top. So 3 times 2 would be 6. All right, now we got to do this one. How do we get from 2 to 8? Camden? 4. So whatever you do at the bottom, you got to do the top. So 1 times 4 is 4. And then how do we get from 4 to 8? Times 2. So then 1 times 2 would be 2. So now we can look at these and order them from least to greatest. So which one's the smallest? Which one is the smallest? 2 over 8. So that 1/4. So I got to use that original. So 1/4 would go first. So the reason I also like to write these out is then I can cross this out so I know I'm done with it. Okay, the next one. What's the next smallest one? Which one would be the next smallest one? 3/8. Done with that one. Next one would be the next one, guys. Stevie? No, we already did that, 3/8. So what's left? The 1, so the 1/2. Okay, and then 3/4. So that's how you would order them from least to greatest. All right? So, knowing that now, you have to get common denominators. I want you guys to try to do 5 and 6. Okay, so 5 and 6. Take your time, write them out. Use the back of the paper or come get another piece of paper. That's fine too. All right, so number 5. All right, we have 2/3, 1/6, 5 over 18, and 7 over 9. All right, so we have to get a common denominator here. What would be our common denominator for all of these? 18. So the good thing is I don't have to change the 5 over 18. I'm going to leave that one alone. But the rest of them have to have 18 on the bottom. So what do we got to do to 3 to get to 18? Camden?
Multiply by 6.
Multiply by 6. So 2 times 6 would be 12. All right, how do we get from 6 to 18? Zach?
Multiply by 3.
Okay, so 1 times 3 would be 3. And then how do you get from 9 to 18?
Multiply by 2.
So 7 times 2 would be 14. So now that we have them all in common denominators, now we can order them from least to greatest. So which one's the smallest?
3 over 18.
So that 1/6. So I'll cross that one out. Okay, what would be the next one? So if we had 3 over 18 was the smallest, what's the next one? Kylie?
5 over 18.
5 over 18. You can move, Kylie, if that sounds bothering you. Okay, so then I cross that one off. So the next one, what's it going to be? What's the next smallest one? Stevie?
12 over 18.
So that 2/3. And then our last one would be 7/9. Okay? So that's how those work. You have to have common denominators before you do anything else. Okay? So the next one is mixed numbers. You do not have to do a bunch of extra work and turn these into improper fractions. You don't have to do that. Because, like I said, since all the whole numbers are 1, you don't have to change that. You're just trying to get common denominators. So what is going to be our common denominator here? Kylie? 24. Good. So all these got to change to 24. There's not one that we're leaving alone. So how do we get from 2 to 24? What do we got to multiply by?
Multiply by 12.
By 12. So 1 times 12 would be 12. Okay, 6 to 24. times 4. So 5 times 4 would be 20. And then 8 to 24. How do we get from 8 to 24? Well, we got to multiply by, Keenan? 3. So that would be 15 up top. And then 12 to 24. What do we got to multiply by here? 2. So 5 times 2 would be 10. Okay, so now that we have all common denominators, we can order these from least to greatest. Remember, you have to use the original numbers when you list them. So, which one is the smallest? This one right here, the one with the 1 and 5/12. So 1 5/12. Done. Okay, the next one. What's the next smallest? Guys, look at the numbers. Kylie? 12. So that'd be the 1 and 1/2. Okay, what's the next one? What's left? Kylie? The 15. So 1 and 5/8. And then the last one would be 1 and 5/6. So that's how that would be over. 1 and 5/12, 1 and 1/2, 1 and 5/8, and 1 and 5/6. Any questions on this? So it's still just get common denominators. That's what you have to do every time. All right? Any questions on that? So the next one, this is the last lesson of chapter 2 that we talked about. All right? So next week, I'm going to be checking chapter 2. All right? Now, the last lesson of this was lesson 7. This is percent of a number. All right? So a lot of people struggled with this back in first quarter. All right? When we did this the first time around. That's why I wanted to hit this one again. Okay? So when I'm talking about a percent of a number, they're going to write this right here. 25% of 260. All right? 25% of 260. What this means, all right? What this means, guys, this is why I usually don't let you have calculators, because a lot of people start playing with them and don't actually pay attention, and then they don't know what they're doing. So if we can't control the calculators, we won't be using them. I'm telling you right now. So when they give you this, all right, so 25% of 260. Okay, so we're trying to find what actually is 25% of this number, all right? So first thing is, of means to what in math? Does anybody know? Of means what in math? Jake, take the hat off, please. Yes, of means to multiply. So what you're actually doing is taking this number times this number. That's all you're doing in this. It's all multiplication. Okay, so what we have to do, when you multiply this number, you cannot actually multiply 25%. It's not possible. Jake, put the calculator down, please. All right? I don't know if I even gave you a copy. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what you have to do for this percent, you have to change it to either a fraction or you change it to a decimal. It is totally up to you. Either way works. Because we've known from lessons 2 and 3, we know that we can change it into both. So the first way, if you change it into a fraction, okay, so this would be 25 over what? What do all percents go over? 100. So 25 over 100 times 260. So when we multiply this out, what you actually have to do would be 25 over 100 times 260 over what? 1. It's all whole numbers are over 1, okay? So then you just multiply it out. This is perfectly fine, but it is more confusing when you start adding fractions in. It is totally up to you. If you like this way, go ahead and use it. I like the other way. I like using decimals because of this. So all you would do there is just multiply that and get your answer. Now, this decimal way, I got to turn this into a decimal, 25% into a decimal. All right. So to do that, remember I showed you guys that shortcut. 1, 2. So it'd be 25 hundredths times 260. So then you can type that into a calculator a lot easier, correct? It's a lot faster. It's a lot easier. Saves you a lot of steps. Okay? So it's totally up to you. But I prefer the decimal way because it's a lot faster. Because I know with that shortcut, I can automatically turn it into a decimal real quick, and then I just multiply it out. So I do 260 times that 25 hundredths. Okay, so hold on. So 5 times 0 would be 0. 5 times 6 would be 30. 5 times 2 would be 10 plus 3, 13. Okay, now I drop down 1. Remember, that decimal has nothing to do with the multiplication. So 2 times 0 would be 0. 2 times 6 would be 12. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So now I add this all up. And then I know now I have to move my decimal 2 times. So the number would be 65. Or if you just type it in your calculator right now. So put 25 hundredths, 0.25, 25 hundredths, times 260. What do you get? So 0.25 times 260. 25 hundredths. What do you get? 65. Okay? So it's a lot easier than using the fraction weight. Like I said, if you want to use the fraction weight, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Totally up to you. So let's look at another one real quick. All right, what if they give you this? 175% of 56. Okay, doesn't change anything. Of means what? To multiply. We're still multiplying no matter what. Whenever it says of like that, we're multiplying. Now, I want to turn this into a decimal. So what do I have to do? What's it going to look like, Zach? Oh, remember, you don't. So if it starts back here, and we're dividing by 100 technically, like we talked about the other day, I only move it 2 times. So 1, 2. So what's it going to be, Camden? So I'm going to move it twice. Jonathan? Oh. There you go. 1 and 75 hundredths. You can't lose that 1 there. It goes in between the 1 and the 7 because we only move it 2 times. Remember, that was that shortcut. Or if I write it over 175 over 100, that means 175 hundredths, which is 1 and 75 hundredths. Just like that. All right, so now we just do 1.75 times 56. And what do we get? That's why you have a calculator. Do it. 98. Any questions on those? Guys, all you're doing is multiplication. It's as easy as that. Change this to a decimal, then multiply it out. All right? So go ahead and do 1 through 6. 1 through 6. So make it a decimal first. Whenever you see a percent sign, it is not in decimal form. Even if a decimal is there, it's still not a true decimal. You still have to move it. All right, so number 1. All right, so we have 48% of 50. I'm going to use another piece of paper. All right, it's 48% of 50. So what do we have to set this up to look like? What are we doing here, Camden?
We're gonna do 0.48 times 50.
Perfect. 48 hundredths times 50. And what do you get? 24. Any questions on that one? Guys, it's just multiplication. Okay, number 2, 40% of 95. Okay, what do we have to do here? What's this going to look like when we set it up? What do we have to do? How do we set this one up? Jonathan?
0.40 times 95.
Okay,
And the answer is 30.
good. Any questions on that one? Okay, number 3. Okay, 75% of 116. So what do we got to do here? Jonathan?
0.75 times 116.
Good. Okay. Number 4, 8% of 85. So what's this one going to look like? Camden?
0.0.
Good. I'm glad you caught that. Okay, that is 8 hundredths, not 8 tenths, not 0.8. It's got to be 0.08 times 85. And what do you get, Camden?
68. 6.8.
You should get, yeah. Should get a decimal there. It should be a small number. Okay, number 5. All right, 98% of 30. So what's this one going to look like? Well, how do we set this one up? Kylie?
0.98.
So what's 98% of 30?
29%.
It's going to be a close number to 30 because it's 98% of it. And number 6. So we get 0.3%, 0.3% of 460. So what's this going to look like as a decimal? What's this percent going to look like? Kylie?
0.03.
Nope. Close.
Point.
I'm thinking about it. If we're going to move it 2 times, 1, 2. What do those empty spaces mean? 0. So how many zeros do we have? 2. So it's 3 thousandths times 460. So it's going to be a very small number. So what is it? 0.003 times, huh?
1.78.
I think you're right. So that's how it's done. Any questions on any of these? Any questions at all? All right, why don't you guys finish out the rest of them? Do 7 through 10. Okay, 4 more. Do 4 more. And then we'll go over them again. I'm going to leave these up so you guys see what they look like. The answer. So, what is number 7? 15% of 342. What'd you guys get for that? Camden?
51.3.
Does everyone agree? Okay. 51.3. Okay, 350% of 60. What's that going to be? It's going to be a larger number than 60. It should be anyways. Zach?
410.
Yep. And 25 hundredths of a percent of 500. So this is going to be a very small number. So what is that one? Camden?
1.25.
And 2 7/10% of 110.
2.97.
What?
2.97.
There you go. Okay, so that's how that works. Percent of a number basically means you're multiplying to find the percent of the actual number. Yes. All right, so any questions on that? Yes.
Wait, what one was 37?
What?
What one was 37?
What do you mean? 51 3/10. The 15% of 342. All right, any questions on that? All right, now we're going to jump in. Chapter 3 is all about adding and subtracting decimals. This is very, very simple because you were just adding and subtracting. Do not overthink this. Okay, this is why I tell you do not need a calculator. All right, so we are not going to be estimating. I'm not worried about that part at all. So when you have something like this, so 3 25 hundredths, and 12 6/10, and they said find the sum. What does sum mean in math?
Like the answer, like the equal.
Of what?
The
Hmm?
like the problem.
Oh, I know. What kind of problem? Kylie? Addition. So this is an answer to an addition problem. So whenever you see sum, you are doing addition. What if it says difference? What's the difference mean? Subtraction. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out there. Those are terms you're going to be seeing a lot in 6th grade math. Sum is addition. Subtraction is difference. Those are back there as well. Product means multiplication. Quotient means division. All right, those will always be up there until they fall off and I got to find more tape. All right, so since we're doing addition, all right, the number one rule when you have decimals and you're doing addition and subtraction, you have to line up the decimals. With addition and subtraction, you have to line up the decimals no matter what. So I usually start with the bigger number on top, so 12 6/10 on top. Then this next one, I put the 3 right below the 2 because my decimals have to line up, and then 2 and our 5. Now, the problem is that we have this empty space here. What do I have to put in that empty space? Camden?
0.
A 0. So now I can add this. So what is 0 plus 5? Zach, that is not what we're doing right now. Dude, go throw it away. I want it off your desk. Okay, so what is 0 plus 5? Say it, guys. What is 0 plus 5? 5. What is 6 plus 2? 8. Now, I just bring my decimal straight to my answer. What's 2 plus 3? 5. And then just 1. So our answer is 15 and 8500ths. Okay? That's all you have to do. You guys overthink everything. It's literally that easy. You're just lining up the decimals and adding. Okay, so if I see subtraction, so difference. So 26 and 82 hundredths and 12 and 15 hundredths. Okay, so 26 and 82 hundredths goes on top. My decimal's right there. 12 and 15 hundredths goes below it. Okay, I lined my decimals up. Now I subtract. Well, 2 minus 5 I can't do, so I have to borrow. I got to borrow from that 8. So that becomes a 7. That becomes 12. What's 12 minus 5? 7. What's 7 minus 1? 6. Bring my decimal straight to my answer. What's 6 minus 2? 4. And 2 minus 1? 1. There's your answer. That's it. That's all I want you guys to do. There's addition. There's subtraction. Okay, so just line up the decimal. That is the only rule you have with addition and subtraction with decimals. You have to line up the decimal point. Otherwise, it will not work. So go ahead and do 1 through 8 on the front. So 1 through 8. I'll leave this just like that. So 1 through 8. Number 1, we have 3.1 plus 9.4. So 3 1/10 plus 9 4/10. So with addition, it doesn't really matter which one you put on top. I just normally, just out of habit, put the bigger number on top because when it comes to subtraction, that's what you have to do. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a negative number. It doesn't work out. So 4 plus 1 would be 5. We bring our decimal down, and we get 12. So 12 and a half. 12 and 5/10. Okay. Number 2, we have 4 and 88 hundredths plus 8 and 1/10. So like I said, it does not matter which one goes where with addition. I just know I have to add a 0 there if I have an empty space. So then 8, 9, decimal, 12. 12 and 98 hundredths. Any questions on those two? Okay, number 3. We got, what'd you guys get for 14 and 5 hundredths plus 9 and 2/10? Camden?
22.25.
Okay, and 4, we have 6 and 8 thousandths plus 22 hundredths. So what do we get here? This one's going to look a little weird, but when you set it up, like I said, line up the decimals. So if you have empty spaces, you put zeros. Okay, so when you line this up, you get 8, 2, 2, 6. 6 and 228 thousandths. Now, with subtraction, so like number 5 here, that doesn't have a decimal, but what have I always said about whole numbers? What does it have after it? A decimal. So I can add a decimal there and 2 zeros to subtract the 3 and 1/12. But I have to borrow because 0 minus 2 you can't do. So you have to borrow from over here. And that becomes 10. Well, we got to borrow again. So then 10 minus 2 would be 8. 9 minus 1 would be 8. Decimal 1. 1 and 88 hundredths. Okay, what'd you guys get for 6? 75 and 23 hundredths minus 50 and 9 hundredths.
On number 3, I got 23.5. 25. I took 23.25.
No, it should be 23, sorry. Okay, and then, so 6, 7, and 8 is homework. All right? 6, 7, and 8 is homework. If you didn't finish those. All right?